Welcome back to Marvelous Videos. I'm Rylan, and today we'll be taking a look at the Dollmaker, a twisted serial killer of Gotham City. Origins explored. Gotham, home to criminals of all shapes and sizes, often houses some of the weirdest, craziest, and most deranged criminals known to man. DC Comics has a penchant for creating villains that will truly give you goosebumps as you read all the horrific things that they've been up to. Today's video, we'll take a look at one of the most twisted of these villains, the Dollmaker. The Dollmaker is the name of the various fictitious supervillains who appear in DC Comics' American comic novels. Tony Daniel, a writer and artist for Detective Comics, developed Dollmaker in the New 52 rebooted continuity in September of 2011. Barton Mathis is introduced as a new Dollmaker in this timeline. He is a sick serial killer who runs a family out of Gotham City. He is the third iteration of the criminal alias known as the Dollmaker. The first was Plastic Man villain Marcel Mannequin, who committed crimes with sentient robot dolls. The second was Anton Schott, the demented son of Superman's foe, the Toyman, and was the second Supergirl villain. The version of the Dollmaker that we'll be primarily focusing on in this video is Barton Mathis, who became a major adversary for Batman and is infamously known for his killer MO in the unique way he killed and disposed of the bodies of his victims. To learn more about Mathis and his predecessors who also used the title of the Dollmaker, keep watching as we dive deeper into this creepy villain. Before we get into our explanation, however, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is just a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thanks. Now then, let's begin.
Protect me, children, as I've protected you.
Who is the Dollmaker? This is a tough question to ask, since the title of the Dollmaker is one that has been borne by three individuals with a knack for mutating and killing children. While all of them share similarities in the form of their perverse obsession and lust for killing, they are fairly different and have different ways of carrying out their terrible plans. Marcel Mannequin, for instance, was the first character to bear the moniker the Dollmaker. Arnold Drake and Jack Sparling designed the Marcel Mannequin version of the Dollmaker, which first appeared in Plastic Man Volume 2, issue number 10. He was a gifted dollmaker who committed atrocities with his own sentient mechanical dolls. He would make dolls which he would be able to control and would use them to carry out his evil plans. He fought Plastic Man at a period when he had already given Gordon K. Trueblood a blood transfusion. At Madame Delute's High Society Ball, Plastic Man defeated the Dollmaker. Thus, it is known that the first Dollmaker had the ability to create and control dolls to do his bidding. The next one to bear the title of the Dollmaker was a man named Anton Schott. Sterling Gates and Jamal Eagle designed the Anton Schott version of the Dollmaker, who originally appeared in Supergirl, Volume 5, issue number 58. Anton Schott was born on Christmas Day, the son of Winslow Percival Schott, aka the Toyman. Despite Anton's enormous promise as a competent toymaker, his father showed very little interest in his son, whom he regarded as dull, and this led to emotional neglect in the case of young Anton. Other troubles came into his life when Anton's mother soon took him away, believing Winslow was a pedophile. Another thing that took quite a toll on him. However, while she took him away from his father, she didn't want to keep him, and ditched him in Metropolis, forcing him to fend for himself. Anton was all alone and traumatized with the happenings of his childhood, and he quickly discovered his father's old workshop and decided to become known as the Dollmaker. It was his messed up way of getting back at his father for all those years of neglect. However, as it is with villain origin stories, nothing good comes from abandonment, and thus Anton began kidnapping other children and transforming them into cybernetic doll-like slaves as a result of his abandonment issues. He used to keep them to work for him, and in the end was taken down by SuperGirl, who put an end to his string of horrific crimes. This second Dollmaker is also a brilliant inventor with a genius-level brain who can transform dolls into mobile weapons. A new Dollmaker named Barton Mathis was introduced in 2011. The story of Mathis follows that he went on several hunting trips with his father Wesley when he was just a kid. However, this is not your regular hunting trip where father and son would bond over stalking and shooting big game. No, things were much more sinister. Turns out, his father was a sociopath and hunted humans for sport. Mathis watched in horror as his father slaughtered and then cannibalized individuals during these hunts, something that was no doubt extremely traumatic for a young boy, and this would go on to affect him greatly in the future. However, he would end up seeing his father shot and killed by a young cop named James Gordon, as he was being hunted down by the police for his heinous and deranged crimes. Mathis was sent into foster care, but vanished for years after only living a single year there, before finally resurfacing as none other than the Dollmaker, a serial murderer who built dolls out of the flesh and limbs of his victims. and whose mask is largely composed of his murdered father's skin. Despite the obscurity surrounding his whereabouts, Barton Mathis regards the Toyman as a father figure who is part of the Dollmaker family, for some time as revealed later. The Dollmaker first appeared in current continuity when he paid a visit to the Joker in Arkham Asylum during the Faces of Death storyline. The Joker had intended to be apprehended and transported to Arkham for the sole purpose of meeting with the Dollmaker. The Dollmaker succeeds in removing the skin from Joker's face, leaving the lunatic delighted with pain. They rejoiced that night, believing they had been reborn. In fact, it is quite scary to think that the Dollmaker would be on the same level of insanity and derangement as the Joker, the most iconic DC villain of all time, known for his madness. The third Dollmaker is a skilled surgeon who specializes in constructing human flesh dolls. When he has the correct parts of flesh, he can make the dolls nearly perfectly resemble any individual human being. As he demonstrated when he faced up against the Batman, the Dollmaker has had some access to Wayne Enterprises' technology and resources.
My magic dolls never fail, and I have just enough magic mud to make one more.
What makes Dollmaker so evil? The Dollmakers in all three avatars are inherently scary. And why, you may ask? The reason behind this is the use of an innocent object, such as a doll, which is meant for children to play with, to carry out their evil plans and ambitions. The second fact that makes them truly evil is the simple fact that they choose to prey on the innocent and make children the target of their heinous crimes and operations, no matter what iteration of the Dollmaker that you are referring to. While it is understood that all versions of the Dollmaker went through some form of hardship and abuse as a child, that does not negate what they transformed into and how they rechanneled their pain and hurt into becoming deranged psychopaths with a penchant for killing. The Dollmakers also have their own unique abilities that make them quite terrifying to face up front. The first Dollmaker has the ability to create dolls and give them life, then using them to do his evil biddings. This means that he could easily create a doll army that would do everything he says and carry out his evil plans with the help of his minions. The second Dollmaker's powers are even scarier, as he goes one step beyond simply just making dolls and controlling them. He doesn't just make them, he mutates them in such a way that they are essentially killing machines, as he adds various weaponry to their body parts, which makes them quite lethal. Think Chuck, well made, and much, much worse. And lastly, the third Dollmaker seems to be the most gruesome of them all, and thus also the most evil, as he makes dolls by using the flesh of other humans and children. Yes, you heard that right. He would murder people and then use their flesh to sew it all up and make flesh dolls. Did that send a shiver down your spine? Well, even if it didn't, it gets worse. Turns out that if he has the right type of flesh, whatever that means, he is able to fully replicate another human and make his doll look like them because of his unfathomable expertise in surgical procedures. Lastly, what really sets them apart from other DC villains and what makes them inherently and truly evil is the fact that they had no space for emotions and cared for absolutely no one, to such an extent that they didn't even bat an eye when they killed and dismembered children. Truly horrifying.
Now heed me, Wonder Woman. Heed me, Firestorm.
Versions of Dollmaker in various forms of media. The Dollmaker is a twisted villain, and various versions of the Dollmaker have been portrayed in pop culture and TV shows. Every portrayal has its own uniquely terrifying traits that make the Dollmaker a character to truly be feared. When it comes to films, the Dollmaker has unfortunately never made it to the movie screens, as one of Batman's foes from his infamous Rogue Gallery. However, he has gotten a mention in animated form. The Dollmaker is voiced by Weird Al Yankovic in the animated film Batman vs. Robin. By name, the version of the character is Anton Schott, with Barton Mathis aspects integrated into the character. Schott, a muscular guy who was a near victim of his serial killer father as a youngster, kidnaps children from Gotham City and transforms them into cyborg dolls, with modifications such as chainsaws placed on their limbs, in an abandoned toy factory. Schott claims that they will never be hurt again this way. He is killed by the Talon of the Court of Owls after fighting Robin. The Dollmaker has also enjoyed multiple mentions and roles in various DC animated shows and live-action TV series as well. The Dollmaker is voiced by Frank Welker in the Super Friends, the legendary Superpowers show, episode The Case of the Dreadful Dolls. This version of the character makes voodoo dolls that allow him to control the individuals that he constructs them in the likeness of, in this case, the Super Friends. Schott's toy factory is where he hides out. The Dollmaker was invented by the show's creators to replace the Toyman, who was not available at the time, according to the DVD commentary. Michael Eklund portrays Barton Mathis in the Arrow episode Broken Dolls. Mathis is shown as a serial murderer who kills young girls by injecting a flexible polymer into their throats, which hardens and suffocates them. He then dresses and postures the bodies like a bisque doll, earning him the moniker the Dollmaker from the police and the media. Quite scary if you ask us. Fiore plays Barton Mathis, renamed Dr. Francis Dollmaker in Gotham. The character is depicted as a crazy European scientist in this version. He's conducted several tests and even has discovered ways to bring back the dead to life. The Dollmaker first appeared in the episode Selena Kyle, in which he had two of his minions, Patty and Doug, pose as members of the mayor's homeless outreach program in order to kidnap street kids as part of a child trafficking ring, using Trident intercontinental shipping as a front for their smuggling. The Dollmaker's minions capture the street children and transport them to the Dollmaker's lair. However, the trafficking network is brought to an end by detectives James Gordon and Harvey Bullock. The Dollmaker had been kidnapping and imprisoning people for unknown reasons, including Fish Mooney, according to the events of The Scarecrow, The Blind Fortune Teller, and Red Hood. In the episode titled Everyone Has a Cobblepot, Dollmaker makes his first physical appearance, although he is vanquished in the end, and his ambitions are ultimately foiled. The Dollmaker, throughout all of its iterations, is one of the most formidable and, quite frankly, psychopathic villains with a major bloodlust. They derive fun and pleasure from all the murder and chaos, and thus one of the most underrated villains from the DC universe, that we believe could get more mainstream attention because of how unique their killing style is, and how gruesome they truly are. What are your thoughts on this DC villain? What other underrated DC villains would you like to see a video of? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to send a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. For Marvelous Videos, I'm Rylan. Have a good one, be safe, and thanks for watching.
Let's take a better look at this face of yours. You have such lovely skin.